You know, some art tells a story, but other art, it feels more like a ritual. And NecroVeil's dying is definitely the second one. This isn't really a narrative you just follow along with. It's more like a symbolic journey into oblivion that you have to experience. So, that's what we're going to do. We're going to deconstruct that journey step by cryptic step. Everything, and I mean everything, really hinges on this opening line. Right away, it sets the stage. It's not just an origin story, it's also a destiny. This whole thing isn't being framed as some tragic end, but more like an inevitable, maybe even a welcome, return to where it all began.
So that leads to the big question, right? What is this dark ritual actually about? I mean, the lyrics are super fragmented, they're intense, and they're just packed with this occult imagery. Our job here is to basically piece together this puzzle and see what kind of symbolic ceremony is hiding in these words. Okay, first things first, we have to understand who is speaking to us. This isn't some victim being dragged off into the shadows against their will. No, this is a native of the darkness. And this first part of the song is all about them affirming that deep, profound connection. So think about those opening lines less as a story starting and more like an invocation. The darkness isn't just taking our protagonist, it's calling them home. This is a willing return, a totally voluntary choice to merge with their true element. And this line, this is the absolute key. It just completely erases any separation between the speaker and the shadow. They're one and the same. So this isn't about losing your identity, it's about finally fully claiming it.
All right, on to the second phase of the ritual. Now that our protagonist has answered the call, they begin this active, really willful descent. This is the fall into the abyss.
Now let's be super clear about what we mean by the abyss here. It's not a literal pit in the ground. It's a conceptual void, a state of being where the self, and really all of reality, is just meant to dissolve. That's the ultimate destination. And this whole process, it's not just some abstract idea. It's actually broken down into these very specific ritualistic steps. Open the gate, that's the commitment. Feel the void, that's the internal acceptance. And then fall into the earth. That's the final surrender. Each step is a very deliberate move toward coming undone. Satya to the abyss. This phrase, it just feels ceremonial, doesn't it? Almost like a lost piece of liturgy or something. It really reinforces the sacred nature of what's happening. This isn't some chaotic, clumsy fall. It's a deliberate, holy procession, a pilgrimage into nothingness. So now we've reached the point of no return. This is the unmaking. This is the part of the ritual where the protagonist doesn't just enter the void, they literally become it, dissolving piece by piece. And you can see the unmaking starts with the physical. Breath, the very essence of life, it becomes as inert and lifeless as cold stone. The body is the first thing to give way to the void. And then, from there, the dissolution moves from the physical to the metaphysical, the heart, the seat of the soul. It doesn't just stop beating. It expands. It dissolves into the very fabric of the cosmos itself. And then we get this, the incantation that completes the entire ritual. This is the climax of the unmaking, the final seal on this whole process. So, what does omnia dissolvent mean? Well, that translates from Latin to all is undone or all things fall apart. It's the ultimate statement of entropy, really, marking the complete and total deconstruction of the self. Everything is gone, returned to its base elements. And this is the most fascinating part. This ritual isn't actually about annihilation. The final stage is a transformation. So, dissolution doesn't lead to an end. It leads to a totally new form of existence, a new kind of power. Just look at the exchange of power that's happening here. Life fades, but in its place, silence reigns. The individual's personal light goes out, but now the shadows crown them. It's a complete inversion. They're trading the temporary state of being alive for the permanent reign of eternal night. And this is it. This is the central paradox of the entire ritual. Complete and total annihilation is in fact a form of rebirth. By becoming nothing, the protagonist is reborn into a new, and you could argue, much more powerful state of being. And so the whole ritual concludes not with a funeral, but with a coronation. The soul, having passed through that abyss, doesn't just disappear. No, instead it's crowned. It achieves an eternal form, and it's empowered by the very emptiness it chose to embrace. This final line just reveals the ultimate goal of the whole thing. The act of dying was never the end.
It was the necessary path to get to a different, maybe even greater form of eternal life, one that isn't defined by breath and light, but by the power of silence and shadow.
So, we're left with this question. By deconstructing the self just to achieve this new, eternal existence, is this ritual an ultimate end? Or is it a truly dark new beginning? I think I'll let you be the judge of that.